Right now, public school enrollment across Colorado is at its lowest point in a decade. Last year, there were 1,800 fewer students in Colorado's public schools than the year before. That number has dropped 3 times in the last 4 years. For this school year, pre-K through first grade saw the largest combined enrollment decreases. Kids are still getting an education. The number of students counted as homeschooled full-time jumped by 8.5%, and the number of kids registered for online education programs increased by 3.5%. Where the public school numbers are concerned, the state's demographer says birth rates, which have been dropping for a long time, have a lot to do with declining enrollment.
But there's an outlier not listed in this data tied to the recent surge of migrants to Colorado. Denver alone counts more than 2,700 migrant students since July. Many came after the official count day back in early October, which captures the numbers used for school funding. That official state count shows Denver only gained 371 students. Denver Public Schools says the district is working to cover the cost of the extra students, but will ask for the state to help out.
We're almost doing a reverse where we're trying to figure out which schools are asking for more funding so that we can identify how many international kids have come in so that we can try and come up with an estimate of this total migration.
While DPS says it's had more than 2,700 migrant kids walk through the doors this school year, they don't know how many stayed here permanently. We may not know until the next October count. State lawmakers are starting off the new session with a focus on preventing opioid overdoses in schools.
Yeah, the sponsors of the bill want to encourage more schools to have the overdose reversing drug naloxone on campuses as well as school buses. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy is live from the Capitol this morning with more on the bill. Anusha, good morning.
Good morning, Jordan and Corey. You know, this bill actually originated in Durango. That's where students started asking and saying they needed more resources and help to battle the opioid crisis. Some districts do have programs along these lines, but that's definitely not the case all across Colorado. So 2 of the bill sponsors that I talked to said that then morphed into this piece of legislation that was among the first to be introduced for this 2024 session. The proposed bill would allow any public school to adopt a policy to have naloxone and drug testing strips on campus as well as on school buses. It also makes sure the Good Samaritan law is covering schools and their employees. That's essentially giving them civil and criminal immunity if they use naloxone on someone else in good faith. It would also allow students to carry naloxone and testing strips.
We want all of this to be available on like the football field where it's a school event. That students will be taught how to use it and carry it with them. Educators will be carrying it with them. So it's not just kept in the nurse's office, because lots of times people don't have accidents and horrible things happen to them right outside the nurse's office.
We also had a chance to chat with 27J schools that's covering Broomfield and parts of Adams and Weld County. They also have Narcan naloxone in every building and a lot of staff trained to use it. So far, they say they haven't had to use naloxone on a student. And a spokesperson said while they deeply care about the well-being of students, they also shared that they have concerns about additional responsibilities added to the plates of educators and school staff. And these responsibilities not only take time and focus away from teaching and learning, but also with school management. In response to that, the bill sponsor said that this is not a mandate. They're really hoping that it's more of a roadmap, that if a school district wishes to adopt a program like this, that they would be able to lay it out and make it as easy as possible for them. Coming up at 7 a.m. on KTVD, Denver Public Schools is actually one of the biggest districts that does have a program along these lines. We're going to be taking a look at how often they use naloxone on campus. Corey and Jordan?
Yeah, it's all about saving lives, making sure that this life-saving tool is more accessible in these schools. All right, Anusha, thank you.
One of Colorado's most prominent Republicans is on probation for drunk driving and a weapons charge, but has been keeping it a secret. The trooper who stopped House Minority Leader Mike Lynch said he feared for his safety because Lynch had a gun in his pocket. Colorado State Patrol arrested Lynch back in 2022, but it was kept under wraps until now when the Denver Post reported it. The arrest report shows Lynch was driving 90 miles per hour on I-25 and his blood alcohol was more than double the legal limit. The arrest report says Lynch reached for his gun and the trooper had to pin Lynch's hand to his leg as Lynch held the gun in his pocket. Our Marshall Zellinger spoke with Lynch about the arrest.
Did you hope it would be kept secret?
I was realistic that, this would come out someday and I would face it like I'm doing right now. And that's what leaders do. They, make mistakes, pick themselves up, become better for it, and move on.
You got pulled over for DUI and you had a gun on you. Didn't you expect that to make the news?
Eventually, yeah.
But not by your own accord.
Correct.
The arrest report says that night Lynch told the trooper he was a state representative and asked him to call the lobbyist for the Colorado State Patrol. Right now, Lynch is part of a crowded primary to replace outgoing Republican Congressman Ken Buck in the 4th Congressional District, representing Loveland, Douglas County, and the Eastern Plains. He tells us he won't resign from House leadership and will stay in the race for Congress.
Former President Donald Trump's name will be on Maine's ballot after all, unless the U.S. Supreme Court says otherwise. The Secretary of State initially decided a few weeks ago that Trump was not eligible to appear on the ballot. Trump asked a judge to overturn that decision, and the judge deferred to the Supreme Court. Maine's primary election is on March 5th, so Trump's name will be on the ballot unless the Supreme Court makes a decision before then. Next month, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments in a similar case out of Colorado. Colorado's Supreme Court disqualified Trump under a section of the 14th Amendment, saying he engaged in an insurrection and is banned from holding office. Because the Supreme Court is taking up this case, his name will still be on Colorado's primary ballot.
Just one day to go until parts of the federal government run out of money and have to shut down. So far, Congress still doesn't have a deal. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says his chamber should be able to vote on and pass a stopgap measure today. That would create new funding deadlines of March 1st and 8th. But the sticking point right now isn't actually about the money.
Border, border, border. We have to secure our own border before we talk about doing anything else.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says if Senate Republicans don't agree to immigration changes, the House will not pass a funding bill. If they can't come to an agreement, military construction, transportation, the Energy Department, and more would shut down.
The U.S. is officially designating the Houthi rebel group as a terrorist organization. The Yemen-based militants have been launching dozens of drones and missile attacks against U.S. military ships in the Red Sea. After fighting began between Israel and Hamas, the Houthis declared support for Hamas, started launching missiles at Israel and bombarding ships. The U.S. and its allies have responded with strikes against Houthi-controlled sites in Yemen. The designation will take effect in 30 days to give the U.S. time to limit the impact on the people of Yemen.
Today, families of Americans believed to have been taken hostage by Hamas will meet with U.S. national security leaders. This week marked 100 days since they've been taken hostage. The House of Representatives held a candlelight vigil in their honor. The U.S. says 6 Americans are still in captivity. One of them missed the birth of his daughter. Right now, there's some tension growing between the Biden administration and the Israeli government. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected any plan to end the war that would lead to Palestinian statehood.
Well, there have been more than 800 avalanches in Colorado over the past week, and experts say that's just what they could count. The storm likely brought even more avalanches than that. The most talked about slide happened on Berthoud Pass Sunday. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center says the numbers are not surprising because of the weak snowpack in the high country brought on by the drought in December. The dangerous avalanche conditions will continue through next week.
And one thing you want to know about our weather is we're going to start off in pretty good shape. Temperatures getting into the 40s, but then a cold front goes on by and the temperatures will drop this afternoon. We will see mostly cloudy skies later on, and then we'll see temperatures in the 20s to around 30 degrees for tomorrow with those cloudy skies continuing.